In September 1433, a very special prisoner was locked inside the highest tower of the Palazzo Vecchio in Florence. His name was Cosimo de' Medici. He was the wealthiest man in the city, and at this exact moment, the most desperate. Through the narrow iron bars, he could hear the chaotic roar of the crowd in the square below. The very citizens who used to take off their hats to greet him were now being manipulated by his political rivals, the Albizzi family, screaming to have the Medici torn up by the roots. The verdict of the trial had already been decided in secret: death. During his days in the tower, Cosimo didn't dare to close his eyes for a single second. He refused all the food brought by the guards, surviving only on a few pieces of hard bread smuggled in by his family. Because he understood politics too well, in this city of conspiracies, the most elegant way for a political enemy to die naturally was a bowl of beef stew laced with arsenic. This was exactly the life or death crisis his father Giovanni had feared the most before he died. The Medici vine had grown too fast, blocking the sunlight of the old nobility. Now, the shears had come. In the shadow of death, Cosimo did something profoundly Medici. He didn't cry. He didn't pray to God. He just waited for an opening. Late one night, when a guard named Malavolti came for his patrol, Cosimo suddenly stopped him. Cosimo tore off a piece of the bread he had been saving, handed it to the guard, and said calmly, "Whether you poison me or starve me, you'll only get a few copper coins as a reward. But if you help me, your family won't have to worry about money for the rest of your lives." With that, he pulled a massive bank draft from his boot, a piece of paper that could be cashed at any Medici bank branch in Europe. "I'm not buying my escape. That would put you in too much trouble. I'm only buying one thing. Carry a message for me, and be my food taster." The guard hesitated. He knew taking this money meant betraying his masters. But in those days it was a fortune an ordinary man couldn't earn in 3 lifetimes. Greed conquered fear, or rather, gold bought loyalty. Once this crack opened, the power of money seeped out like liquid mercury. Cosimo was physically trapped in the tower, but his wealth had already grown wings. Checks were delivered to city councilors, slipped under the pillows of judges, and even shoved into the pockets of the mob leaders who had been screaming for his head. The previously unbreakable anti-Medici alliance began to fracture under the crisp, clinking sound of gold coins. A few days later, at the final sentencing, the political wind mysteriously changed. Those judges who had violently demanded immediate execution suddenly became merciful. They began quoting scripture, debating the virtue of forgiveness, and discussing whether exile was more in line with God's will than death. The final verdict came down: not death, exile. Cosimo kept his head. As he walked out of the tower, looking at the complicated faces of his political enemies, he realized a fundamental truth. In this city, there is no conscience that cannot be bought. There is only a price you cannot afford. Being exiled would be the end of the world for an ordinary man. But for a master banker, it was nothing more than a paid vacation. Cosimo went to Venice. This punishment was actually a joke, because while the Medici Bank's headquarters was in Florence, its cash flow and client network spanned across all of Europe. Cosimo left, but he took the money with him. Florence instantly plunged into a financial panic. Capital is brutally honest. When the Medici withdrew their funds, the commercial credit chain of Florence snapped. Factories closed, workers lost their jobs, and tax revenues were cut in half. Meanwhile, Cosimo lived like a king in Venice. He was treated to red carpets, and even got so bored he funded a massive library there. Just 1 year later, 1434, the people of Florence couldn't take it anymore. Without the Medici, the city simply stopped working. The very government officials who had banished him were now on their knees, begging him to return. Not because they loved him, but because they were broke.